Well, I did one video, but then the AC came on in the middle of it and started blowing right into the microphone. Actually, just turned on right now too. But I moved the laptop, so hopefully it won't pick up wind noise. Should probably stop it now and see. Or shouldn't I? Maybe I shouldn't do it. What do they think? Where do I go from here? Is this weird? Is this a good video? Is this a bad video? Only time will tell. Is my t-shirt too ruffled? What the fuck? Yeah, that's not good. No good. This is the struggle of the mind, which is there a struggle with it or is it allowed? If there's no resistance to the mind, if there's no struggle, then you're free. But most of us are struggling to try and make this thing happen the way we want it to make it work for me at the expense of you, or make it so I can get ahead, or maybe even get behind. A lot of people are masochistic too, so there's that whole angle. But it's ahead or behind. It's never just how it is. We don't want it to be how it is, because how it is right now is not good. It needs to be improved upon, or it needs to be, what's the opposite of improved? That. Yeah, the last video was like 25 minutes long. There's a lot of good stuff in there, but the AC, I mean, that just takes down the production value. That's gonna hurt my viewership, all 30 of you. It's tough to get an audience in this world. You gotta compete with Will Smith smacking people. I mean, that's just. I'm talking about fucking neuroscience and meditation and the most boring shit imaginable, and this guy's going up in the middle of an awards show and smacking somebody in the face. It's hopeless. How do I compete with that? But I like that in a way. We need more of that. It's honest, it's raw. I mean, he just had that reaction in a moment, and he just did it. And now everybody's sitting around, sitting back and fucking tearing this guy to shreds, and his wife sleeps with other people, and just a million different ways to dissect that, and that's good stuff. Just in that moment, he just got up and did it. He didn't think about it. That was the reaction. That was what had to happen. Unless it was staged. A lot of people think it was staged. How does this happen? What can I do about this? I guess that's better. I don't know. This shirt's just a piece of shit. That's what it is. Yeah, it's tough. If I'm up here, then it's not as noticeable. But you think somebody who analyzes their t-shirt to the degree that I do, is got a prayer at enlightenment. I mean, it's just not going to happen. Can barely get out the door with a functioning t-shirt, and you're just not going to be able to. You're just not going to be able to get to the big time with the loincloth and the candles and a bunch of people and an elevated seat with people gathered around, hanging on my every word. It's not going to happen like this. And it isn't so much that you need to stop thinking. It's that you don't have a problem with it, or you don't struggle with it. You just the fighting with it perpetuates it. As Carl Jung said, what you resist persists. So do not resist it. Just allow the thing to happen. What strengthens the ego and what strengthens the default mode network, which mean the same thing in the spiritual world, is the resistance, and it's the struggle. So thoughts happen and the world happens, and then there's this reaction against it that wants it to be other than what it is. And that analysis, or that self-criticism, or that self-reflection literally builds and reinforces the default mode network, and that can be and has been measured and shown multiple research studies, which I have documented previously, as well as on the website. And so the art of meditation and what this is all about is not minding what already is, which seems like a pretty straightforward thing. Why would we fight against what is and try to change it or mold it to ourselves? But that's what everybody's doing. You know, they've got a reaction, and there's a should or a should not, and we're trying to contort ourselves into this kind of neatly agreed upon social norms or whatever. And to the degree that you can escape that and drop that machine, that is the degree to which you are free, basically. to be your truest self. You're not filtering it at all, and the meditation process is sort of training yourself to not do that, which when you came into the world, and up until several years after you were born, you didn't really do that. And it's a conditioned and reinforced mechanism that's a cancer upon the world right now, and you can see in the woke culture and everything that's happened in the last couple of years, as far as just what is allowed, what should be, what shouldn't be, and this fear that's kind of permeating everything is, you can't just let it flow. We're not letting that happen. It's a giant resistance, or a giant contraction, I think is how Tony Parsons describes it. It's a contracted energy that just is kind of tightly bound together and is afraid and doesn't want to risk anything. It just wants to survive forever and ever and ever. Which, ironically enough, it does survive forever, but it's not in the way that the ego thinks. That's a little complicated, so. But the quote that I was going over in the last video was the Ramana Maharshi quote, where he says the measure of spiritual progress is your ability to, how does he say it? Is your ability to not have unwanted thoughts, or your ability to focus on only one thought, which really means the same thing. And that's what this process is about, and meditating for hours and sitting there is about building that, or unbuilding the propensity to engage. What happens is all these conditions and filters and things that divert our natural energy are strengthened so much, to the point where this entire mechanism in our brain is really consuming a whole lot of energy, default mode network, because we're spending so much time trying to keep this separate self alive and well and flourishing and successful in the eyes of others, and good reputation and a lot of money in the bank account, or whatever it is that you like. And that is a recipe for disaster, really, and it's a recipe for anxiety and depression, which has been, which I've also detailed in the studies that have been done. So this process is unwinding that whole thing, and dissolving that mechanism, which is always kind of just cut. You have this natural flowing wave, and it's always coming in to cut it, and just, oh no, I shouldn't be doing that. I should be doing this, and it's a very unrhythmic machine that's just, it doesn't flow. It doesn't flow at all. So you're gradually dissolving that mechanism by not engaging in it. So that's this video is the propensity to engage. That's what it's all about. Is, are you able to allow the mind to, or allow yourself to flow without this continual stopping mechanism, which is just really killing us, and that's where cancer comes from. Eventually, in so many avenues and ways, and that's what Ramana means by the ability to not engage in unwanted thoughts. And so each time when you're sitting and meditating, and each time that thought comes in, and the possibility at that point is that either you jump into it and you strengthen that neural network, or that synapse. I'm not actually a neuroscientist, but roughly that's what's happening in the brain. You're strengthening that energy or that neural connection, or you just cut that right out and you don't even engage it at all, and that reduces it. And so next time it comes around less severely, or it doesn't come around at all, and you're just going through the mud of the mind, hour by hour, day by day, until this thing is destroyed or dissolved. And you might think that this video is supposed to go somewhere or that there's a point to it. There just isn't. There's no point to the video, there's no point to life. The meaning is what's the ego thrives on. It's trying to find explanation or a reason for why, and it never finds it, but it damn sure loves the chase, or it thinks that it will be the one to find it, and that continual seeking is the activity of the default mode network, and it builds cumulatively. It builds the idea, the illusion of a separate self, but there isn't one. It's just a rapid succession of thoughts that refer back to an ever-changing atomic cloud, basically, is what the human being is, quote unquote. But it's there's nothing concrete there. There's no there. Good Donald Rumsfeld quote, I believe. But it's a good one. There's no there. No one's ever found it. There's just the one thing that apparently takes many forms. Apparently. But when you empty out all of the identifications and the attachments, and there's no longer someone taking possession of these thoughts, then the separate self is dissolved. There's just the all acting through a apparent peace. And then there's no real problem there, because there's no resistance to it, and there's no insistence on the separation. So who would be having the problem? To whom is that arising? There's no one actually here. It's just the whole expressing itself through a part. The all playing the game, playing the dream of the person. Because why the hell not? That's really all there is to it. It seems like a problem or a big pain in the ass, because we put so much energy into the separation and the idea of me, and so that makes it it makes it seem like losing it would be a bad thing, but that's actually the way out of the prison. So I think I've gone far enough off the rails, so let's stop it here.